Welcome to special session mayor and city council meeting, 6 p.m. Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, City Hall Council Chambers. Call this meeting to order. Would you please raise for a pledge of allegiance? Councilor Bonilla, would you do me a favor?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we got two for call to the public. Mr. Jerry Smith, would you please come up? State your name and address, please.
Jerry Smith.
On the podium, please. Press the button. There you
My
go.
name is Jerry Smith, and I live 656 West Mesa Verde Drive. And I moved here with my family in 1961 and came back 20 years ago to take care of my mother. She was in her 90s, and she had been a teacher for 50 years, 25 years in Wisconsin and 25 years here. And the funny thing was, when she turned 65, she had a mandatory retirement, and Dr. Floto was turning 65 the same year, and he filed a grievance. So they were all allowed one more year, and she was still healthy. So Sacred Heart School called her because the teacher didn't show up in September, and she went there and she worked. She taught until for 13 years. So she was 78, or 79 when she retired. So my family has roots here since 1961. And what I'm concerned about very much is the minimum wage for Nogales City employees. And, you know, inflation hits all of us, but those at the bottom, it hits them harder. And it's embarrassing for me as a resident of Nogales to realize that our lowest paid city employees they're getting 12 cents more than the minimum wage required by the state of Arizona. And I was dismayed and shocked at this last year. And my hope last year was that it could be raised to $15. And I did talk to several council members, you know, after that fact, including Mayor-elect Jorge Maldonado and Mr. Bajorquez and Lisa. And I was told that, you know, something can be done. And so now is the time to do something. And it should go up to $15 an hour. Now the state, you know, has an increase every year based on inflation and other factors, and it's reported, although it's not determined yet, that it will go up to $14.25. But I would advocate strongly to raise it to $15 across the board, minimum wage. Fast foods, you know, Burger King, McDonald's. I saw a sign yesterday that at McDonald's, $15 is a starting pay. So I think it's embarrassing for us to have employees that make less than fast food places. And I don't want, you know, the city manager last year was, you know, emphatically stating that not only were the employees in January going to get the minimum required by the state law, they were going to exceed it by 12 cents, you know, from $13.85 to $13.97. So I think we can do better than that. And I think there's money in the budget somewhere to squeeze. And I know last year the finance manager said that she would not really strongly propose that for fear that the next year she would have to come to directors and say, you might have to lay off 5 employees because of this, you know, increase given to the very lowest because of the economy or whatever. But you guys know what the budget is. It's $104 million. And I think that, the city can find its way to compensate the very poorest, lowest paid employees to attract employees, but also to keep them because they know that they're not paid very well. So I hope you entertain that and keep it in mind whenever you do budgets.
Thank you, sir. Next person, thank you, Jerry. Next person, Francis Glad. Would you please come up, state your name and address, please?
Francis Glad, 488 West Walnut, Nogales, Arizona. Good evening. I'm the chair of the Santa Cruz County Democratic Party, and I'm here for something slightly different. I'm here tonight on behalf of the party to ask of mayor and council to give us approval to paint 2 crosswalks on Elm Street between Grand and Arroyo. And it involves no ADOT streets. In rainbow colors to commemorate Pride Month and visibly show that we are an inclusive community that represents all people. It would be at our cost in consultation with the city on the standard of pay with volunteer labor. June may be Pride Month, but representation occurs every day. We appreciate a deliberate but prompt response. Thank you. Oh, and I have a picture for you for the location.
Thank you. Thank you, Francis. No more call to publicity. Next, we go to, go ahead. Thank you, Francis. Next, item 4, reports. An update on current and future public works projects presented by Alejandro Bárcenas. City Manager, Mr. Bermudez.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I know in the past, we used to do written reports by directors monthly, but I think that this way is more interactive to do it in person, to talk about projects that have been finished recently, projects that are in the works right now, and future projects. And that way you can make comments, concerns, or questions that you might have as far as to what we're doing and why, and deadlines, et cetera. So I think this is a lot more interactive than just a written report like it was in the past. So Mr. Bárcenas is going to give the report for public works projects.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. The project that we have under construction right now is Royal Road and Rancho Grande. Both projects are in schedule. They have been moving, even though they are struggling with some of the rain that's there. It's really hard digging, but they're moving along, and we have about the same progress in both projects. The 47%, and they still have 2.5 months to go in the contract estimation of time. Probably we're going to have to give them a little bit of extra time to finish the projects, but so far they have been without any additional requests. They have been moving along and doing a really good job. And my estimation, we have on a daily basis inspecting and checking everything that they have been doing. So they are making progress. Those are the 2 projects that we have under construction right now, under contract. I don't know if you have any questions about those 2. Now I can move to the future projects that we have. We are in the process of bidding 3 additional projects that we are going to open the bids on the 29th of this month. We advertised and went through the process. So one is Western Avenue. That project was part of a group of projects that we advertised before, and it was grouped on 6 projects. When we received the bids for that group, the price was really high and was only 1 bid. So after consulting with all the engineers and everything, we decided that was not a good thing to proceed with that. So we broke down those projects and we did bid individually. And two of those are the ones that are going to be presenting bids on the 29. That's Western Avenue, which is about 1.2 miles of water lines that goes mostly from I-19 to Kitchen on the Kitchen Street. And that's going to be replacing an old water line that's there, that a steel pipe that was installed by the Camp Little people. So we're replacing that line, and we're having all kind of problems with that line. So hopefully this time we're going to be able to move forward with the construction. So as soon as we receive the bids, we're going to review the bids and bring it back to you present that to you for approval to award the contract if we have a good bid. The other one that we have that was part of the 6 projects that we bid before was La Castellana, and that's half a mile water line that goes from Morley Avenue up to the hill to Calle Zapata. That's also replacing a 4-inch line that has been in place for many years and constantly failing. The last 2 weeks, we had about 3 or 4 failings in that street. So we're really pushing for having that done. Has challenges there too, because the rock that's going up and concrete paving that's in place. So that's part of the project, and probably they're going to take that in consideration when they submit the bids. Another project that we're bidding and we're going to receive the proposals is the lift station, the sewer lift station in Meadow Hills. That station has been working and constantly having problems, sometimes getting overflows and things like that. So we're going to refurbish the whole thing. It's more than 20, I think it's 22 years in the use. So we're refurbishing that. We have the design ready. And they're going to be updating all the equipment that's in the lift station, the controls, and improving the process that's going on there. In addition to that, we have a couple projects that we're just finishing. One is the refurbishing on the Royal Road water tank, that's recoating the inside and outside of the tank. It's 99% complete. We're just finishing the details. We had an inspector, independent inspector, that came and did the inspection on the work, and he found some details that they needed to take care. The contractor already took care of those. We're waiting for the inspector to give the final approval for that, and so we can refill that tank and put it back to work the way it's supposed to be. We have a couple little projects that we have. We're replacing about 480 feet of a 16-inch water line in Meadow Hills. That's one of the main lines that brings water to about half of the city. That we have 2 lines there. We're working with one right now, and that's a project that we're doing in-house. We couldn't afford to wait for the process to go through the bidding and all those things, because the summer is coming and we need to have the supply of the water that eventually we're going to need for the summer months. So they're working on that right now, and we're hoping to have that done in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Then we have another little project that we're doing, sewer relocation. That's on Potrero, right behind the Americana. It's a sewer line that comes from the top of the hill down, that it was going through private property without an easement. So we are realigning that and getting an easement, so the line is in the right location, and we are doing that in-house also, and we're hoping to have that done in the next couple of weeks too. And those are the projects that we have going on right now, in addition to finishing up with the design of the, I think about 6 projects that still need work to be done in the design phase of the project from WIFA. And I'm working with the engineers and making sure that they finish with that, and then start bidding and see how far we can go with the money that we have available. I don't know if you have any questions I'd be glad to answer.
Go ahead, Councilman Bonilla.
Mr. Barcenas, these WIFA projects that are being done right now and are to be bid out, do we know, or I think the last time you told us that we did have enough money to complete paving these projects, these streets that are going to be opened up. Are we still in the same with these additional, with Western and all that? Are we going to still have enough money to complete the paving?
We have in the bid package that we provided to all the contractors, it's a 12 feet wide paving section. However, many of the contractors that they came for a pre-bid meeting, they are having a lot of concerns with that approach, because they, at least in the conversation that we have, your paving project is going to be more expensive than your water project, because the situation, the traffic controls, the utilities that are in place, the existing water line, the sewer line, cable, and everything that's in the ground, gas. So we're waiting to see what the price is going to be and see what options they can present to us. And then we would review that. And then when we bring the contract for your approval, we would make a decision how we are going to go about it. Because right now, if the paving construction is more expensive than the water, we're going to have a problem with WIFA, because WIFA is funding water and sewer. So I had to balance things out. One thing is that's good for Western Avenue, that in general, the paving is in good condition. If we do the normal 3 feet wide patching on top of the water line with a really good quality of the patching, that would be good product. But we don't know that until we see the prices and we see the cost of the estimation that they are going to provide to us.
So just to understand, WIFA has to know what the cost is going to be for the paving. And if it's way too expensive, then what problems could we have? Can we?
Well, we would have a problem to justify we ask the reimbursement to say, okay, you approach WIFA for money to do water and sewer. You're spending more money on the paving. What is your justification for that? In addition to the issues of the utilities, there is that you have to raise all the utilities, all the manholes, all the valves, everything that's in the street needs to be adjusted with concrete and everything. That increases the price quite a bit, and the traffic control. The traffic control is going to be a really a big issue there, because you have to have flaggers all the time because the amount of traffic that's in the street and the width of the street.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Barcenas, you mentioned that you were doing some work on the water lines on Castellana Drive. So after you, I don't see Castellana Drive on this list here. So is that, as far as paving, is that going to be on Juan's report?
No, Castellana includes paving on the 12 feet wide section on top of on top of the pipe. That's the way that we bid it.
So are you planning on paving the whole street, the entire street?
Yes, we're gonna be replacing all the concrete, the asphalt from Morley to where the concrete starts on going up the hill. And the concrete, we're gonna replace that in concrete on top of the pipe, so that would be a good thing. Concrete is gonna be replaced just in kind, the way that,
And this is scheduled for fiscal year 23 and 24?
yes, we're scheduled that for, we're bidding that out right now on the 29th. So, we are gonna hopefully present that to you in the next council meeting after the 29th. I don't think it's gonna be on the July meeting because we wouldn't need time to review the bids and everything. But the following meeting, we would be ready to present that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr. Bárcenas, on what you just comment, you know, I recall when we gave the contracts to the people at Royal Road and Rancho Grande, you know, the cost was going to be as is, and you know, but you right now mentioned, you know, that street control and all that is raising the cost. Is there going to be any surprises of more costs than what was already given?
No, the contract includes 12 feet wide patching on top of the new line. One option that I'm reviewing and kind of brainstorming is if we don't have enough money in that 12 feet patch to do as much as possible the whole street. So instead of going back and forth in the street following the water line, probably would be better to do a complete section of the street and hopefully with HERF or additional funding, complete the additional paving that would be needed. But it's going to be a decision that I'm going to bring to you that the 12 feet is included in the contract. So if we want to go with that direction, that the contractor would follow that. But after seeing some of the ways that the paving is going to be, like leaving 1 foot on one side of the street unpaved because the 12 feet would not make any sense. So hopefully we can work that out to have a better product at the end. But we haven't got to that point because they're putting the line in place right now. Once they start getting ready for do the paving, we can see how it's going to be better.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Barson, how do you prioritize which street is going to be paved first, or is it, do you have like a listing on the priorities?
No, I haven't prioritized anything. It's just in the contract, they have every single place where we have a water line is 12 feet wide. But what I've been kind of brainstorming and talking internally, not even with the contractor, saying, okay, maybe it's a better way if we pay let's say for Royal Road, let's say that we have enough bid money in the contract to pave the main street, the main access to Royal Road, and maybe one of the laterals, then we do that and leave the small laterals to do that in-house. But we haven't prioritized, so we haven't decided anything on that. Right now, the contract is 12 feet wide on top of the water line.
And do you allocate funding for certain streets, and that's how you?
No, it was allocated for the whole contract. The allocation was based on the length of the water line, so right on top of that. And the bid has a unit price. Let's say for this many, they have 5,000 or 6,000 feet of water line, 12 feet wide. That gives me a square yardage, and say, this is the money that I have in the contract allocated. Where do we put it? I'm going to have to bring that to you to give me your guidance and say, what is the priority for you if you want to go in that direction. If not, we go with the way the contract is and we pay it following the line.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Mr. Barcenas, the additional, what's needed to pay from those 12 feet, is that going to be done in-house? Or no, it has to be outsourced? Because it is a WIFA loan,
Yes.
that way?
Yeah, it's part of the contract. So to be able to finish the contract, they need to do the paving. So whatever we tell the contractor by your guidance, say, do this street and use all the square yards that you have in your bid. And then the rest, then we will have to see if there is enough money in HERF or overweight or somewhere to do that. If not, we would go and tell the contractor, just follow the contract that you have.
And when you mean follow the contract, is just finish those 12 feet?
Yes.
And then we would go back?
Yeah, that would
Right.
be really difficult, right?
I know it would be difficult, but I mean, it is 12 feet, and then, so how wide are the streets or,
On Royal Road?
yeah.
Well, we have Duncan Drive, we
Yeah.
have David Drive,
But the typical street is how wide?
Live Oak.
It's like 20 feet?
Well, Royal Road is really varies a lot. We have areas that probably 12 feet is almost going to be the whole street.
Yeah.
So, like David Drive probably is going to be 14 feet, 10 feet wide. If we do 12 feet, it's going to be almost the whole street. So, but we haven't done exactly the allocation of the paving because we don't know exactly how it's going to finish the project. And besides, they're making the progress on the construction of the water line. We need to see exactly where it's going and see what's going to be left outside of the 12 feet so we can make a decision.
Well, yeah, we can make a decision, but, since it's going to be outsourced, everyone here in the dais knows that when we pave a road, even if it's just a small amount, it's still going to get pricey, Mr. Barcenas.
Yeah, and I think that's another option too, that to use some of the potential sources of funding like HERF or overweight to do that in-house. And that would reduce the price considerable. So that's something that's an option too.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Barcenas. Going to reports B, update on paving and engineering projects presented by Mr. Juan Guerra, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's the same update that Alejandro gave as far as to details, not the same update, but the same information that we're looking for to be, make sure you have questions or concerns or whatever, you can ask Juan and he can answer those.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I guess Judith gave you a copy. I have bigger size copies if you want it. Yeah, 11 by 17, I think. These are current projects. Yes, bigger size. Well, as you can see in the left column, which are the completed projects, we are almost done with all of them, except for some of the projects that are not completed yet is because we are in the process of bringing a contractor and also, for example, Terrace Avenue, South and North. Unfortunately, the contractor is not able to do it this month until July, so we'll move that project for next month. Terrace Avenue North and South is maintenance, an application of an Larry seal with brand new thermoplastic for the striping. And the city crews will need to replace some section of the road that needs to be replaced first, have failed, and they will have to do patchings before the contractor. The other that is still pending, and I don't know if you are aware that currently our street department is removing the existing paving on Frank Reed from Mariposa to Shell Road. The plan is to pave it by this Friday. And on the same project, Innova is also in the process of finishing what they did for the project, which is the pending item will be striping. They just replaced the areas that I asked them to replace. They did a million overlay. And now is coming the final thermoplastic and final signage after that. According to Innova, they will start June 22nd with the striping, the final striping.
Mr. Guerra, on the Frank Reed paving, I noticed they redid some spots. Did you feel comfortable with all the spots that they have chosen? And is there, because I'm still getting calls from people that, it was not done properly on sections that, people think that should have been replaced.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I feel comfortable because those are the areas that I chose for them, not them. So we walled the area and they cried. They didn't want to change it, but those in my opinion was the worst areas. The rest are not bad because the reason number one, the asphalt mix design that we use there are ADAT specs, and ADAT specs are a little bit more rough. The surface, we can compare this paving with other paving that we use the same mix, which is Industrial Park Avenue, and you can see that the surface is not as smooth as we would like it. For example, the mix that I asked them to use for this time, for the mill and overlay, is another mix which contains more fines. You can see that it's smoother. But the mix that was part of the design was ADAT specs, which is more, it contains more gravel. That's the reason that you can see the difference. But in terms of ADAT specs is a more durable, more stronger concrete asphalt because it's designed for heavy trucks. Obviously, we don't want trucks in the area, but was selected thinking in the trucks that we see there for longer life. But yes, I'm comfortable with the area that I chose.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Bonilla?
But Mayor Maldonado I've gotten a lot of calls and people are not happy. When we last spoke about this, Mr. Guerra, you feel comfortable with the patches and what Innova did. I personally, I am not. Our constituents that live on Frank Road don't care if it's an ADOT concrete mix. All they know is that the road is bumpy. It's not, and it is kind of weird because if you come off from Frank Reed where they haven't paved, where it's the old asphalt, and then you get onto the new one, the old one is a smoother, the one that's all cracked and everything, it is a smoother ride than when you hit the new asphalt. That's what's so curious about this. I'm not saying that it looks bad, but I've gotten a lot of calls that they are not happy. And they did fix the big patch right when you start going uphill, or right by the entrance of Nogales High School. But I am not personally. We paid how much? 2.1 million
2,006,000.
Okay, 2 million. So I don't think what we paid for and what we got is what I don't think it's what's worth it. I think we should reevaluate any project that we do with this company as far as them doing the payment, because the city could have done a better job. I'll give you an example. Calle Santana, they did an excellent job. And I have to commend the streets department, and they did an excellent job. They did a great job on Wise also. And they've done some very good jobs on other streets, on Apache Boulevard and stuff like that. And they'll probably do a great job at the entrance of Frank Reed also. But again, we paid all this money, and this has been going back and forth for a couple of years since, I was here. And finally we get it done. And personally, I'm not happy. I'm not an engineer. But like Mayor Maldonado said, he has been getting calls. I have been getting calls, and they're not nice phone calls. So I don't know, Mr. Guerra. I don't think we got our money's worth for the 2 million and whatever thousands of dollars we've paid for. I think they should have just gone back and took up at least an inch or two and repaved it completely. But that's just my opinion.
Just to add something to the quality of the project, we received engineering testing for compaction of the soils, compaction of the AC mix. All the testing necessary were done by consultants, external consultants, and passed the testing. So compactions and then the content of the oils and everything passed. So that's why, again, aesthetically, it might not look right for the surface. And then the other thing that we also wanted to accomplish is to complete the project by December. And we did so, but unfortunately, the cold weather affected us a little bit. And contractor did as much as they can to find windows of good time to do it. That's why I guess that the areas that failed, because those were done on days that were extremely cold, and that's what we have now.
Mr. Guerra, just one more
Go
comment.
ahead.
What is the threshold of how cold it can be so they can lay down asphalt?
According to the specs, it needs to be 55 degrees Fahrenheit or raising. So sometimes the weather, it says something, and you order the asphalt and the weather is different. So you have the trucks already waiting and the weather is colder than what you expected. So it's like a risk that you take sometimes. You see a sunny day, but it's extremely cold. So
What's funny is that I think if we look back at that time when they were paving, I think on average we must have had like 45 degrees, 50 degree days. It was pretty cold, Mr.
Yeah.
Guerra. It was pretty cold, and I don't think this company pretty much knew what to expect, or it is odd that it was a very cold winter, and they still decided to lay down the asphalt. But like you said, sometimes you order the asphalt and there's nothing you can do. But a lot of these companies, Mr. Guerra, these paving companies, they foresee these type of issues, and I don't think this one company has that much experience in paving roads, and I think it showed on this one project.
well, they have done other projects and are not. I don't know, from 1 to 10, they have 9 or not 10 because nothing is perfect. But in this project, I consider it's like 8, not 10. So not perfect.
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Guerra, what is the time limit on the warranty, and what does it cover?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year, one.
And what does it cover, the dollar amount that it covers?
The total amount, the whole project. If in case of the concrete sidewalls or the concrete asphalt fails, they will have to replace it.
Did we sign off on the completion of the project as
Not yet, until they complete the project. So the 1 year warranty has not started yet.
When is the year coming up?
Well, they are in the process of finishing the striping and signage. And once they are 100% complete, the clock will start clicking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Doyle.
I guess you kind of covered that pretty much, except for maybe in the future, we have to look at that company's work and compare it if it was done. The ones that you think were done well, were they in the summer, were they during, we have warm days, or like Mr. Bonilla said, if they don't take into account the cold weather, well, we have to take that into consideration for them, make sure that before you make a contract or you choose them as a company to do the paving. I mean, in other words, we should question their work ethics and make sure that they're looking ahead. But the reason I want to address that old Tucson road pavement replacement, which says was mostly for the dilapidated road sections that were out there. I noticed that there's a safety issue that was left exposed. And right now it's not so bad because it's coming to the end of the season. We get a lot of heavy commercial traffic with semi trucks that go by there. And it's coming right out of the old Tucson Road onto the state highway right there by the MPD. On your right side, as you're coming out, the road's narrowed, and there's a big section of pavement missing as you make the right turn. And the danger it causes is that the traffic has to veer towards the center line or veer towards more the center. Because of that, they can't take, especially other semis that, don't like to drop their wheels in that section. And what it happens is that there's traffic coming into Old Tucson, both coming north and coming south when they make the turn. The one that is more dangerous is the one that's going north and makes a turn because they veer more to the center line. And if there's another semi there, they sometimes come close to hitting it. It causes a problem. It's a safety hazard. Now, I don't know if that encroaches ADOT's part or not, but I think that the city should work with ADOT to be able to fix that. It's not that big of a section. You're talking about maybe 10 feet by 2 feet wide, or maybe 2.5 feet wide. But I think you should go and look at it. Right now, it doesn't seem like a big hazard because, again, the traffic has subsided from the commercial traffic. But once the season starts again, it gets pretty heavy and it gets dangerous for everyone that comes to that intersection.
Councilman Doyle, those are very good observations. We have scheduled another section of Old Tucson Road farther north to continue with this project. Because doing this project at once, it will consume a lot of time to us and deviating from other projects that we have. So we prefer to continue attacking this road little by little. And then we'll take care of that, what you are saying. We'll widen in that area a little bit more. I know that the geometry might not be appropriate because we have the wash very close there, and it's a 90 degrees turn there. So we'll do as much as we can widen in there to provide more room for trucks.
It's there, the space is there, it just needs to be covered. It needs to be, because right now it's like a big drop, about a foot deep at least. And, it's workable.
Yeah, I think there are some sewer manholes or utilities and power poles, but we'll take a look and see what we can do.
Thank you. Just wanted to note that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Guerra. Continue, please.
Okay. In a similar way, I'm experiencing some issues with getting the encroachment application with ADOT, but I believe I'm ready now because I submitted everything what they asked for. I just need to get the approval to do the committed section of sidewalks from Country Club up to Old Tucson Road. I already have the contractor ready to start, and I have also the traffic engineering or traffic company ready to start. I only need the approval from ADOT. So I had a conversation with them today, and according to them, they have received everything. So I'm hoping that in the next few days, I will get the green flag. And in the next budget, I also set aside money to continue with the second phase of sidewalks, which is from Old Tucson Road. And I don't know how far yet, but the next section contains a lot of driveways. So it will be a little bit more challenging and slower the work, but it will. The idea is every year do something more, little by little. And for the Valle Verde, this project, we also are moving this project for the next year. We carry forward the money for do a portion of Valle Verde and another road close to this North Valle Verde. What else? The multi-use pathways, as you know, the bidding will be in July for the pathway on Friend Reed. I think the goal is to complete the pathway before December this year. One of the things that we continue having challenges with the budget is that the ADOT has to again reduce the project limits. So at the beginning, when we submitted the application, was from Buffer all the way north up to Motor Vehicle Department, and also making a lateral up to the high school on Front Reed. Due to that everything has increased since the COVID-19 and everything, so the contractor ADA decided to trim the project to only Front Reed. They recently prepared an estimation cost, a preliminary estimation cost, and they realized that the money available, because it will have some retaining walls and expansion under I-19 bridge, that will be costly. They said that they will start under the bridge, just passing the bridge, and all the way passing Mariposa Hills. That's the project limits now. What we can do is continue applying for a next phase in the next funding available from the same funding source, which is CMAQ, because the plans are already complete. We just need to request more money in future cycles and continue little by little up to Grand Avenue, closing the loop. And with Union Pacific, I think we have to have more meetings if we want to do something on Grand Avenue. Union Pacific were the most challenging agency to convince. So I have hopes that we can do something there, but they want some kind of fencing along the pathway. What else? Well, this is what I have about the current projects going on. And I don't know if you remember, during the budget, I presented the next project for the coming budget. I don't know if you want to take a look, or I don't have any schedule yet because I need to sit down with Tony Santa Cruz and Mr. Barcenas to prioritize the project according to the needs. But these are the projects that we set aside for next budget. Any question?
Where are we with the, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
with the Hohokam? Are we done with those projects with the erosion on Hohokam? Were we able to secure funding from the county?
And in the last Board of Supervisors meeting, I had the opportunity to make a presentation, and I presented a report requesting funding. They told me that they would meet with me and visit the site and present it to the Board of Supervisors. The meeting was on June 6th. I have not received any phone call yet, but they have the report, and I also presented the 2 permits that take me almost a year to get it. Army Corps of Engineers and ADEQ. I got those, and I also have estimation cost from Innova. That's the only local contractor and who has been working in the channel for a long time. They have experience. They have personnel available to start at any time. And I requested a second quote from another local contractor, but the other contractor didn't want to do it right.
One comment, Mr. Mayor. But when we started this issue, I remember the talks I had with you, Mr. Guerra. From what I remember, you said that the county had already sort of promised or hinted that they would secure at least $340,000. Am I correct in that?
When you are correct, is that a county committed to help me with the section where the sanitary sewer crossing is. They committed to help me with that section only, nothing else at that moment. So at this point, I'm presenting that section and another section further north that is almost a vertical cut. Those are the two worst sections. I know there are many more, but those are the two most critical sections, and I'm hoping that they will help us with that funding. The total amount for the proposal that I presented was $700,000, a little bit over $700,000 for the two sections. I don't know what they will be the answer from the county yet.
Thank you.
Segura, do you have that in a report where the wash where what's needed and funding that's needed to do that work?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I can share that report with every each of you.
Yeah, coincidentally, I got a call from a company that uses the train a lot.
Okay.
And I mentioned the problem with the wash, especially once the cemented area finishes. And they were interested in some type of report so they could look at maybe helping the city with some funding for the wash, covering, the railroad side and even the IOI.
Okay.
So please, thank you. Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Guerra.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item 5. A, discussion, direction, and possible action amending the FY 23/24 salary range schedule, eliminating salary ranges 40 through 42, and amending job descriptions to reflect the same, bringing up the minimum wage to 15.04 per hour, or 31,285.64 annually, effectively July 1st, 2023. City Manager, would you please?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Council. Last month, we had a very interactive budget session for 2 days, and there were some concerns that the lower tier employees were not getting any increases, substantial increases, as a matter of fact. And I appreciate that. And after that, I've had some various conversations with members of council, and the concern continues. I went back and checked with staff, had them run some numbers, and found out what it would take for us to move the salary of the lower tier employees, which are approximately 103 people. And we came up with the spreadsheet that I put in front of you a little bit earlier. So with that said, I'm recommending, well, let me go back a little bit. Last year, in order to go to a minimum of $14 an hour, they did away with various salary ranges. I believe they did away between 36 through 39, and they stayed at 40, which brought up the minimum to 29,051.95, or $14 an hour. I can tell you that the plan was to take it out of contingency because it was done after the fact and after the budget was already passed. The plan was to take it out of contingency. However, with the salary savings of vacancies that the city has had or had in 2022, I'm glad to say that there's no hit on contingency, and everything has been absorbed by the regular budget, the 22-23 budget. So there was no hit on contingency. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see it, I can tell you the last 3 weeks, I've signed so many action notices of people resigning to go out and get other higher paying jobs. Obviously, inflation, cost of living increases have all played a role into this. My goal is to make sure that all city employees receive personal and professional growth, and that service is passed forward to the end user, which is our community and your constituents. So in order for us to do that, I'm asking that that salary ranges 40 through 42 be eliminated, and the entry level for 40-hour-a-week employees or employees that work 2,080 hours a year be at salary range 43, which is 31,285.65 from 29,051.95, which would make the entry level minimum to $15.04. Basically, that's if you get hired today, you start tomorrow, you'll start making $15.04. The longevity is still going to play a role in this. So every employee that has a significant amount of years with the city, let's say, for example, an employee that has, that's hired today, starts tomorrow, it's going to be making $15.04 an hour. An employee that has been with the city for 10 plus years is going to start making $16.55 an hour. So that's over $1 increase. I believe that this is a start. I believe that we need to make sure that we're cognizant of our employees and we take care of our employees, especially our lower paid employees. I can tell you that we're planning on this money, obviously, again, taking it out of contingency because the budget or the tentative budget, it's already on the table. However, I'm confident that with the salary savings that we're going to have, which is not a good thing because that means employees are leaving, we'll be able to cover most of it, if not all of it, and it won't affect our 23-24 budget. So with that said, I'm asking for your support to, again, amend the salary ranges and eliminate salary ranges 40 through 42 and make our entry level at salary range 43, which would be, again, $15.04 an hour. I'm asking for your support. I think this is a great idea. I checked with finance. This is something that's sustainable, and this is something that's doable moving forward. So I'm asking for your support in making this happen.
Thank you, Mr. Bermudez. Do you have questions? Councilman Gradius.
I want to move to adopt this change in our salary structure.
Second. Any comments? Discussion? Ms. Montiel?
watching you, Saulo. I just have a couple of questions just to be clear, Mr. Bermudez. Thank you for moving on this. So just to make sure that you're eliminating 40 through 42, and it's going to be $15.04, but only to those employees that work 40 hours a week, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you have other employees working more, like the fire department, working more than 40 hours. So once they're at 40 hours, it's $15.04 for the 40-hour-a-week employee.
Yes, ma'am. This is just for employees that are at the 40 range, 41 or 42 range right now. They're going to go up to 43. Basically, your traditional 40-hour-a-week employee that works
Okay.
2,080 hours a year.
Okay, because I was, okay, so, all right, I had that question. I wanted to make sure because I know there's employees that work more than 40 hours a week, right? Okay,
It does not apply to them.
okay. All right, that's all.
Mr. Gradius.
I just want to go ahead and thank Jean and her staff and Mr. Kissinger for helping draw up these numbers, because I brought it to them during the budget discussion, and we thought about bringing it to mayor and council in January, because that's what we felt would be appropriate and not affect our budget. And I'm glad Mr. Bermudez took the initiative to bring it to us early so that we can move forward with this, because I think it's very well needed, and we're behind. Because as you know, the minimum wage for the state is increasing in January. So sooner we get ahead of the ball, the better we'll be. Thank you.
Mr. Bonillas.
Mr. Bermudez, when Councilman Gardias and I spoke to you, I think it was last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago in Mr. Kissinger's office, you gave us these numbers, but I remember you just say it was not sustainable and that we would have to take it out of the contingency fund. So I guess you explained it away right now, why it's sustainable and why we're not going to take a hit out of the contingency fund. But what's going to happen a couple of budgets down the road? Is it going to be sustainable? Have we, I mean, even though, you know, the state is going up to $14 and we're trying to be ahead of the game, is it still going to be sustainable?
I'm hoping that it is, Councilman. I wish I could tell you that it is 100%. However, with inflation and cost of living, everything is more expensive. So people are still going to be buying. I can tell you that our tax base has gone up as far as to people buying more locally. And with everything more expensive, they're going to be spending more money on taxes. So I foresee that it's going to be sustainable in the future.
So this is going to come to the tune of what, $530,000, including EREs. Am I correct, Mr. Bermudez?
It's a round figure of about 5,034,000. Yeah, 534,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Councilwoman Montiel.
Yeah, I just, once again, Mr. Bermudez, thank you and all your team for working together and moving this forward. I really appreciate it. Like you said, you know, it means a lot to everybody here and in the community. Like Mr. Smith said earlier, that, you know, we pay a decent wage for our employees to make a decent living. And on that note, you know, employees just don't leave because they're not getting paid enough, but, you know, they also leave for other different factors that I'm sure you're going to be working on. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Mr. Bermudez, thank you again for working on this issue. Just for clarification, you said the minimum wage would be, the starting wage would be $15.04, and you're talking about 103 employees?
Yes.
Okay, and at the end of 10 years, the minimum wage would be $16.55?
Yes, 10 years and over. So compared to what they're making right now, a 10-year employee at pay range 40 is making $15.37 an hour. Effective July 1st, a 10-year employee is going to be making $16.55 an hour.
Okay, but that, you know, that could, there could be changes from now till 10 years, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is just something that's going to come into effect July 1st. And then as time goes by, then we can sit down and talk about further increases for across the board or for the comp study or whatever you want to discuss. Last meeting, I had recommended that we set up a study session and talk about compensation as a whole. But I think right now, this takes care of the problem that we face right now immediately. And then that gives us a little bit more time to think about what we're going to do in the next couple of months or the next 6 and 8 months. But buy us time a little bit. And again, it takes care of our employees effective July 1st.
All right, thank you, and thank you again for taking a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Anybody, any other questions? Mr. Bermudez, you and the team have done a great job. Thank you for looking into this, and I think it's going to be a good start to a great beginning of happy employees. So I really appreciate all of your hard work because I've seen you. With that said, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. All against? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Go down to number 6, orders, consideration and possible actions of orders 2023-06-029, an order of the City of Nogales approving extension of contract between the City of Nogales and International Association of Firefighters. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilman Gradius.
I just need a clarification. Is there a deadline for negotiations? And if there is, why wasn't it met? And what is the reason for the extension?
I think, Mr. Machado, you want to take that, please?
There are deadlines in the whole process, and they have been followed. There has been continuous negotiations and meetings have been held since February, I believe, when the whole process started. So we've been working on it. We're just close to finalizing it. But this current agreement is going to be expiring soon, and we didn't want to get into a situation like we got into the previous year or the previous year before that, where there was no contract and it ended up in litigation and so on and so forth. So to do it, to clean it up, we're just extending it 2 months. We should be finished with the negotiations way before then. That just gives us a little buffer.
Any more discussion? Thank you, Mr. Machado. And hopefully we could get it set. With that said, all in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Orders B, consideration and possible action of orders 2023-06-030, an order of the City Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, amending policy for City Council use of City of Nogales credit cards. Second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Ms. Montiel.
I just have one question. So, to Mr. Machado, it says here for credit card for council. Are we also including all credit cards? I thought that was my understanding, that there's 12, 13 credit cards out there? I thought it was going to be all credit cards, not just council and mayor.
No, this is a credit card policy that deals only with individual credit cards that are issued to the council if they so request. The policy that governs the other credit cards is the accounting manual that we have. And if there's any audit findings regarding the use of those credit cards, then we will have to do the same thing with the accounting manual and address those issues. These were the issues that we've all been talking about regarding just the council credit card.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Thank you for clarifying. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item C, consideration and possible action of order 2023-06-031, an order of the Council of City of Nogales, Arizona, amending the travel policy and procedures for public officers and employees. Any discussion? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
On the per diem. On the per diem, it says per diem meal allowances are permitted only when the authorized travel destination is 50 miles or more from the city of Nogales. And it said advance payment of per diem meal allowances shall be permitted only in connection with overnight stays. So if you're not staying overnight, let's say I go to Phoenix, I get the per diems for the meals. I don't have to stay overnight in Phoenix to get that per diem, right?
No, as long as it's past 50 miles from your station. And this is the connection with the IRS regulations and the Arizona state policies. So we put in that there in there to comply with that. So in your, excuse me, in your particular example, if you went to Phoenix without an overnight stay, you would still be entitled to the per diem expenses, but not as an advance, as a reimbursement.
Okay.
That's really the only difference on that.
All right, that's what, that was my question. What's the difference with the per diem and the advance payment?
Right. There's, in the policy, and that part's not changed really. I tweaked the wording a little bit to clarify it. But even under the old policy, there was a difference between having advance payment of travel expenses versus the reimbursement after you incurring it yourself and then getting reimbursed for it.
Right.
But basically, that's the same.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Montiel.
Mr. Machado, thank you for clarifying these policies, or I don't know if you clarify them, or you just, what did you do?
On these?
Yeah.
Well, what I did is I went through them in connection with the audit finding and tried to identify what the problems were and the findings and how to clarify it here. And that's what I did. So I tightened it up and I made it clear that there's a difference between advance payment of travel expenses versus reimbursement of travel expenses. I tightened up the provisions there where all things had to be supported by receipts. And those claims that are not supported by receipts will not be paid. There's certain very limited circumstances where the city manager has the authority to deviate as to when claims are going to put in. For example, on advance payment of travel, we put in a 3-day limit, which is not changed in terms of time from the old one. But I put in a provision where the given circumstances not usually covered, the city manager could change that, for example, the 3-day requirement for the advance travel. And then in terms of the claims for reimbursement made after the travel, I put in a 2-week provision in there. And I did that basically for the accounting department, where you can't have all the stuff outstanding out there. At 2 weeks, if you didn't submit your travel reimbursement, then you don't get reimbursed.
And the reason I was asking is because it's exactly what I was expecting you to explain, so the public could be clear. And the policies that you tweaked or you made clear to the public and ourselves goes along or coincides with the findings.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that you did that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Machado. Any other questions? That's it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, go to item number 7, future agenda items. Anybody? Go ahead, Ms. Montiel.
Oh, lost my place, 1 second. Sorry, just lost my place here. Yeah, well, at any rate, Mr. Bermudez, if you could please look into the requests that Glad made, Frances Glad made, regarding painting the pride colors. If you could please have a talk with her and see exactly what they're requesting, because her request is very important to me. And I would like for you to sit down with her and talk to her about that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilor Bonilla.
Mr. Bermudez, can you please start with some type of study with the Water and Sewer Department and see how we're doing? If we're still in the red numbers or we're doing okay? If you can start doing that, please.
Okay. My items, Mr. Bermudez, are basically make sure that we did the budget last meeting. Make sure we're all process and status is accordance to what we need, because next month, I know it's got to be finalized and everything. Okay, the second one is we talked about city cleaning projects. One is the main roads with ADOT, Mariposa and Grand Avenue. We should have plenty of visitors in July for baseball tournaments, and hopefully our city is well conserved in a clean way. The other thing is, I've always talked, one thing that we lack is announcements, and I like to see what kind of signs or billboard, electronics or whatever we could look at into maybe, my thoughts are, as you enter down in Mariposa Port, somewhere around there, maybe down here at the interchange of Mariposa and Grand Avenue. The other place I would say was also somewhere around the Craycroft and Grand Avenue, or, I don't know if there's better locations, go ahead and bring them out. But I think we got to work on announcing our events, and announcing our meetings, announcing everything we got to do. Try to get more people involved. And the other thing is, Mr. Guerra, I would really like that Hohokama wash thing. So maybe I could talk to those people and see what support we could get. They used to train a lot, so maybe if we get some extra funding, we could secure both train and IOI. Okay, and that's all I've got for now. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
I just have a question. Are we having a meeting on the 5th? Because we have the 4th of July event on Tuesday. So
Good question. How does council feel? I got no problem. On the 5th. Good? Good?
We're good.
Yeah, I got no problem. I'd rather do it on the 5th than the 12th because I got tournaments. Okay. The 5th is good. So, well, that's it. Move to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Hold on. Yes. The meeting on the 5th stays. Thank you. Thank you, Letty. Sorry about that. Meeting adjourned.